It's the start of a new school term. So you bought your son a smartphone so he can keep up with his homework assignments via Google Classroom. 3 weeks go by and you think everything is going well until you get a call from his principal. Your son has been in a fight. You hurry down to the school only to find out he has been accused of cyberbullying. He's allegedly been using the same phone that you bought for him to do his homework to spread rumors about other students using his TikTok account. His online activity turned into an offline fight. What would you do? Let's talk about it. Welcome to this episode of the Socially Safe Podcast, the TTPS podcast where we share real stories, teach real lessons, and create real impact. I am your host, Jamila Bannister, and I'm excited about today's topic as usual, but of course I would like to introduce my special guest on set and my co-host. Today I'm welcoming to the set Corporal Sasha Williams Goddard of the Community Oriented Policing Section, aka the Cops.
Yes, the Cops.
And as usual, welcome back to set my co-host Corporal Javon George of the Cyber and Social Media Unit. Lady, gentlemen, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
So today's discussion, every discussion we have here on the podcast is pertinent. But when it comes to anything to do with children, I am always passionate and I really want people to learn and to know what's happening with the young ones when it comes to crime and any kind of antisocial behavior, right?
Yes.
So this one, we have called it Pretty Pipers, which has been named so after a particular phenomenon happening in schools, right? But before we dive into that, I want you to tell people a little bit, Corporal Goddard, Sasha, I want you to tell people a little bit about what you do at the Cops and how it's been making a difference.
Well, so I wear many hats at Cops. I am the 2nd Division Officer in charge of the North Central Division. I am also the leader of the Police Youth Club in St. Joseph, and I am the coordinating officer for the Community Conflict Resolution Center. So it's a mouthful, but it's a lot of work, and essentially I work primarily with young people, parents, families in general, members of the community. And that's the gist of what we do at Cops. And, it's interesting that, we're starting with Pretty Pipers because it has been a phenomenon. And I hope that parents have been paying attention because your child may be able to educate you about what Pretty Pipers is.
Yeah, okay, so for those who may not know,
What is it?
so maybe they don't have their own children or maybe their children aren't there yet,
Yes.
or maybe it's a niece or nephew. Just for the edification of the nation, could you explain to us what Pretty Pipers is? How did it start and how is it impacting the children in school?
Well, it's basically Pretty Pipers, as it's called. It's basically, as the name suggests, it's a slightly sarcastically named derogatory site or a cyberbullying website. It's an Instagram site, not really a website.
Instagram account.
And TikTok,
Okay.
the primary accounts, the primary apps that are used for Pretty Pipers. And there are several Pretty Pipers accounts because, of course, they were banned. People reported some. They had to take them down. And then we had new ones popping up. Every time one is banned, a new Pretty Pipers account has popped up. And they use these platforms, which are run by children, young people, all below the age of 18. And they use these accounts to target and bully other young people. Even teachers have found themselves on Pretty Pipers.
Wow, so they're bullying teachers now?
Yes, they have.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is crazy. I can't imagine.
This started to occur
Doing
in the
that.
pandemic, in the earlier part. The
Yes,
pandemic, yeah.
yes, it exploded when everyone was online and every child needed to have a cell phone. The Pretty Pipers phenomenon just exploded. And since then it's been difficult to get a handle because they've been using so many incognito strategies to evade our investigation sometimes. But there's a market. Anything that is in demand will continue to run and get that traction. So there's a market among the young people to have these spaces, these virtual spaces where they can bully and, just defame people's character online.
That is wild. Yes. I can't imagine. Like in my time in school, sometimes people would just write things on the wall, write things in the back of the bathroom door.
On your book.
On your book. But now it's online for everybody to see, yes. Which is wild. You were going to say something?
Yeah, and one thing too, when you post things online like this, it doesn't come off.
Yes.
And I know in previous episodes of the podcast, we spoke about later on in life, you want to be a member of the police service or the Coast Guard or the regiment, and these organizations do background checks as well on social media. Yeah. And your post will come off and they will find out post that you did. It's like, why would I want you in my organization?
Yeah.
Even to go and get a US visa to study in the US, a student visa, you have to have your accounts open.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why would you want to have that
on your account? Or be accused, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So, Corporal Goddard, could you tell us a little bit about some of the cases you've seen come across your desk, where you've seen whether it's this type of phenomenon, whether it's Pretty Pipers specifically, or cases of where cyberbullying actually turned into offline activity, whether it's fighting, and what was the outcome of those cases?
So there's so many. It's where to start.
Yeah.
Hundreds of cases, unfortunately, keep coming to us because young people never keep the conflict online. It almost always ends up in some sort of physical manifestation of that online conflict, whether it's a verbal bullying scenario in school or whether they actually take it to a physical altercation. And sometimes it's multiple schools involved, so we generally had an issue at the early parts of the Pretty Pipers phenomenon where it was within the school environment. So students of the same school having their conflict, somebody posted a classmate or somebody posted a teacher, and that conflict is within that school. It's no longer that way. We have multiple schools meeting at public transportation hubs, and we have fights there. We have fights at our basketball and football games. We have fights anywhere that young people can congregate, even at the malls sometimes. People have been making plans to, I'll come and meet you. I'll come and bring him a crew. Right? I bring him a crew for you after school. And really, it's nothing new. There were fights when we were all in school. There were always fights. But that aspect of that online component, that has really escalated the severity of the conflicts. And now we have students that are being suspended constantly because they're getting themselves involved in all sorts of crime and criminal behavior. And they're ending up before the police or within our suspension programs. We have parents who are lost and confused and frustrated and don't know what to do when your child has been involved in these types of conflicts. So, it's really a dynamic that we're constantly figuring out as we go. But there are some solutions. There are some things that have worked.
All right, but before we jump into solutions, Corporal George, Javon, do you have any cases from a cyber point of view that you've seen, any specific ones in a particular area of Trinidad?
Yeah. So just as what Sasha indicated, that it moves from the online space, the virtual space, to the physical space. And with the anonymity of the web, or the TikTok accounts, the IG accounts, they perpetuate or they continue to harass or to spread hate messages or to bully, so to speak, right? Cyberbullying. And at the department, we have a lot of principals or parents calling and letting us know that her daughter, somebody from her class posted something on TikTok about her, like a video about her, and what can the cyber unit do, right? It was forwarded to Leslie Ann, the social media department, where they identified the account, but got through the account information, and it was shared with SVD at the time. So that's how they do it, and some parents are unaware what to do. You may think is something defamatory, but it's harassment.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in a case like that, that could be tantamount That's an offense.
That's an offense under the
Yes.
under the offences against the person, section 30A.
Yes.
Which is harassment via computer. It can be
Yes.
reported at a station.
Yeah.
And as on our previous podcast, we advise parents, right, to take a screenshot, carry it to the police, show them what it is, what is taking place.
Yeah. And then sometimes, if I could just chime in here,
Yeah, for sure.
there are situations that are now involving multiple children. So, for example, we had a team, we just call them the street fighters, for want of a better word.
Right.
Because it was a large group of children that a conflict online between two particular students who were friends, actually. They were friends, and there was some conflict over a boy, and somebody messaged the boy, and then somebody started bullying. One started bullying the other one, and at the end of the day, there was a culmination of children. This was at a school in East Trinidad, and it became a huge fight that happened after school from an online conflict on Instagram. These are things that are happening every day. We have hundreds of scenarios that we could talk about, unfortunately, where young girls are getting involved in relationships with people online. And they're not certain who the person that they're talking to online is. And then it turns out to be another student that was posing as someone else online. And that is now creating a conflict, and it's now reaching into the school or even after school on the road.
I have to ask this question at this juncture. So I know the brand of young person that we have now very savvy with these devices.
Tools,
Yes.
devices.
Like, as you mentioned, trying to shut down these accounts is like trying to play whack-a-mole. Hit one, another one appears, hit that one, another one appears. So how are the parents keeping up with the type of activity their children are actually getting involved in? Because I don't know if you've ever seen any cases where a parent might be shocked, like, my daughter, my son, is that what they're doing?
All of them.
They're not paying attention. They're not paying attention to the devices.
All of them. It's like, my child? Yes. And the reality is children lie.
Yeah.
So the version of the story that they gave their parents, they're never the truth. And we always have parents with that shock look on it. My daughter? No. We had one young lady, her father said she was so distraught. He went to pick her up from school and she ran out crying. She was distraught because of these girls are bullying her. And it was a whole mess. And he came seeking help for his daughter. He came to the police. And, we were intending to help her until we unraveled the story and we realized that she was bullying people online. And the people that she was bullying online, they came to bully her in real. Because the personality that you have online, behind a screen, it's very easy to be all big and tough.
Be anybody you want to
Yes.
be. Yeah.
It's very easy to be tough. And they had a WhatsApp group that stemmed from the Instagram group that she was posting messages on, threatening people. And she deleted conveniently her messages and showed the father the responses. So he was having a fit because he felt that his daughter was in danger.
Being bullied.
Yes, and he was so surprised to find out the truth.
And you know something, Jamila? They're so tech savvy. They're using WhatsApp. They use the disappearing messages in Instagram too.
Oh, yes, the disappearing messages.
Yeah. So so parents have to be very mindful of that as well too. Yeah.
Yes. So that brings me another question. So this question is, do you find that this behavior, this bullying behavior, is it an indication of other issues that these children may be dealing with? Is it like a manifestation of other types of problems? Or do you just see they just do it because they can?
Yes and no. Sometimes it's there. Sometimes they are underlying maybe trauma or other parental issues, absent parent, and all of these things. Sometimes it's that. Okay. But sometimes it's just adolescents being adolescents with access to devices and internet.
Yeah.
So, the brain of an adolescent hasn't even been formed well.
Right.
They're unable to think critically at their max capacity yet. They're not in a stage to make proper decisions. And then you've given them all this power with these devices and this unlimited internet access.
Yes.
All right, so if there's one thing that I can always ask parents is to limit limit. Yes, I know we have to. The world is changing. We're no longer able to have a child completely off of a device, but limits. Everything within measure, you know?
Absolutely, 100%. Well, that actually is a great segue into our Streetwise segment. So we took it to the streets, and of course, this episode Streetwise segment focused on the use of devices and phones in schools and what parents are doing to teach their children about the responsible use of devices. And this is what people had to say.
What I believe the mothers do right now is phone is for weekend. Basically, phone right now is the weekends. Concentrate on your schoolwork Monday to Friday. Friday afternoon, after school, maybe about 6, 7 o'clock, you get your phone. You see where you have to see, you do what you have to do. Yeah, Sunday, lunchtime, 3 o'clock, the phone go on again. Start back again, focus on the schoolwork.
The purpose of the phone is to make and receive calls, communication. The add-on features are not a requirement in school per se, the games and all these other apps that are out there. There are apps for learning, but I don't think that a phone is really devised to be used for those apps. You have your laptops supervised by Ministry of Education, teachers and what have you, responsible adults. But the phone itself ought not to be used for reasons of entertainment in the classroom, in the school. Those are for out of the school compound.
I really don't think a child should have a phone in school to begin with. And if they do, I think it should revert back to the old-time phone, the Me Too's and such, just basically for communication. They shouldn't have social media in school. They shouldn't have phones that could capture pictures of other persons, students, teachers, whoever it may be in school, far less to post it on social media. They shouldn't even be in social media until they are of an age, probably 18 or so, where they could understand what is social media and how we could, things that they do now could affect them later on that they would not be aware of right now. So you have to start parenting and teaching them about social media and the risk from a young age so that they don't repeat certain things that you would have done while you were young or that you observe that occurs right about now. So parenting starts at home from a young age. I would not allow my child to have a phone that could take pictures in school.
I only have one child left in secondary school.
Yeah.
He has a smartphone, basically, but it's a basic smartphone. He doesn't have an Instagram account. He doesn't have a Facebook account. Since Facebook was introduced and we started having children, we never allowed them to have a Facebook or Instagram accounts, only until they reach the age of 18 and over. So for our children, that was out of the question. They can sign up so that they have no access to that. They will probably get onto YouTube and stuff like that. It's basically just to make calls, but after school, they might have online programs, so a basic phone wouldn't be able to work like that. But it's just to teach them basic principles about how to use your phone. It's just for emergencies or if you need to use it.
And that was our Streetwise segment. All right, so let us talk about it, right? So, varying opinions.
Yes.
Some people say no phones at all. What is the point? Others saying that's just our culture. So let's dive in. So, what do you think? Do you think that we are a hopeless case in this country? That our culture, prevailing culture, is, as one person said, bacchanal and lacqueray, and the phone is just the latest innovation? Or do you think that we really should be taking stock and putting things in place to manage this kind of behavior in school with phones?
But to be quite honest, there is a sort of bacchanal and lacqueray culture. It's not new, but you have to manage what your children are exposed to. They're not ready. They're just not ready for the bacchanal and lacqueray on social media. And your child doesn't need to know all that is happening at every moment that is happening. I think there should be balance. In everything in life, there needs to be balance. So, yes, they have a device, but no, they don't need to be a part of things that are not necessary for them or age-appropriate things that are happening online. There needs to be some sort of monitoring and management when it comes to what your children are exposed to.
Yeah. Because one of the questions that we did ask focused on what are you teaching your children, because it's an enormous responsibility.
Yeah.
Because you have a window to the world with this device, not so?
Yeah. So what about peer pressure? What about being in school and you have a Me Too? You have a Me Too.
Yeah.
And I have an iPhone. And as parents, I'm a parent of a 3-year-old, not a... right?
Soon she will be there soon.
Yeah.
Right? So what about parents? What can they do with their children growing up in a digital environment? We can't look to the past.
Yeah.
Everything is advancing. As a parent, how can parents get involved at earlier stage? I don't have a 3-year-old, but how do parents can get involved at an earlier stage?
I think it's important for you to develop what culture you want for your home very, very early. So 3 is a good age. That's when you start telling your child, or you start reinforcing things like not being focused on materialistic things and not putting your value in the value of, or the dollar value of a thing. So those things are not going to affect them. For example, my daughter is 15. She has a Me Too, what we call a Me Too.
Right.
There's no camera, you can't download anything. It rings and you can get a text, probably a SMS. That's it. And she's fine. She's not bothered by anybody else's opinion of her phone. Her phone is just simply to say, Mommy, I'm at school.
Nice.
Switch off.
Nice.
Mommy, school is over. And she's on her way. Her phone number is attached to WhatsApp. However, it's on a shared device.
Right.
So the WhatsApp is for receiving schoolwork, just so that they don't bombard my WhatsApp.
Right.
And it's for receiving schoolwork, joining all of the environmental club and the interact club and the drama club, so that my number will not be a part of all these groups.
Right.
But it's on a shared device. It's monitored. It's under serious parental controls.
Yeah.
And they don't have access to it outside of approved times.
Right.
So that's the
Excellent.
system that I use to make sure that they are safe and they're not getting themselves involved in anything online that could be dangerous or potentially dangerous.
Well, that's actually a very good system. I love a strict system. But what about parents who are not like that, right? So you mentioned, Javon, you mentioned peer pressure. So do you think, or do you know of if there are programs in schools where they have guidelines in terms of what types of phones children will be allowed to come to school with? It's a way to manage the kind of interactions happening at school. And granted, some of these things do happen online and probably when you're home, but what's happening at school, and also because the bullying is happening also because you have this type of phone and I do not.
Yeah.
So are there any programs like that in place?
But there's a policy. I believe all schools are supposed to have the same policy by the Ministry of Education. You're really not supposed to have phones with cameras and these high-tech phones. You're not supposed to have them at schools. However, it's a huge task for a school to manage 600 plus children coming in and checking everybody's phones. So it really comes back to the parent being responsible and not giving your child the phone to go to school with. I know of some schools, though. There's one particular school in East Trinidad that principal, she does a fantastic job. They have a system. You tag your phones with your name. You put it in a Ziploc bag or a brown envelope with your name on it. They take them at the office. It's lodged, and you get it back on your way out after school. If you have an emergency during the day, you go to the school and you use the office phone. The system works really well. That one particular principal, she found
a way.
It's yes, but
balance.
it takes a lot. It does take a lot too, especially if you're now introducing that into your school. You're gonna get kickback from some parents as well. They're gonna get kickback from students. You know, I want to have my phone. This is my phone. You know, we love to say, this is my phone. I bought this. Right? So there's going to be kickback, but it's something that if we are serious about dealing with this issue of online misbehavior and online dangers, it's something that I feel is necessary for our schools to really implement.
Yes. And I must address what I like to call the lost in space parents or the clueless parents, right? You want to say, my child? How could my little Johnny or my little Jane be involved in something like this. But it means that they do have to start paying attention. So what are some of the things you want to advise it? So you could probably tell me from a community-oriented policing point of view and from a cyber point of view, J.
No problem.
Tell me what are some of the things, or advise some of the parents, what are some of the things they need to be aware of? Keep in mind, because these children are tricky and things move quick.
Yes.
What are the things they need to be aware of so that they could keep track of what's going on with their children, with devices when it comes to them operating in school?
I think before you could even get there, you have to become what we like to call an active and present parent. That's actually a program that we run at the youth club, active and present parenting. Because if you're not in the habit of monitoring your child at 2, 3, 5, 7, then it's going to be impossible for you to know what's happening at 15, 16, 17, because that's not your normal habits. That's not what you normally do. The child is going to feel that they need to rebel against it because it's not behavior that they're accustomed getting from you. So before you can even get there, you have to establish a style of parenting that is very active and is very, very present. So everything that child is involved in, you should want to be aware of it. Yes, you should want to be actively involved in it. You need to know the people that they're around. You need to know the places that they're going. You need to know what their interests are, who their interests. You know, not just their friends, their physical circle, but who online celebrity interests they have, because sometimes those things influence their choices and their behavior, even in their school settings and their social settings in person. So it's a lot of work. And I always say, you know, parents feel that I have to work and I have so much on my plate and I have to provide, I have to feed. You have to feed the child, right? Because then that's another problem. But apart from just feeding the child needs to be nurtured, and the child needs to have a strong culture that is set by you, not by the influences that are online.
So what about from a digital point of view? What are some of the things they need to put in place?
Yeah, correct. Devices. And I know that you want your child to have the latest iPhone. And I buy this for them, or for her or him. But we also must be understanding or get to know the apps that they're using. The Snapchat, the disappearing messages on Instagram, what capabilities do these chats have? TikTok, you know, how can you block this content available to your child? Know the apps, know the devices. You're buying a device, a high-tech device, but you ought to know the apps. You know, and I like what Sasha said about her culture with her children. As I said, we live in a digital era. Parents have to get involved with the digital era, reaching that child in the digital era, so to speak, and know any applications, know any devices they're purchasing, the laptops, etc., the iPads. Get to know the applications on them. Get to know the security features, so you can put security measures in place to prevent them from, being influenced by somebody external. Do certain things.
And of course, you know, when that doesn't happen, you get conflict. But I know, Corporal Goddard, you talked about you have two things that are going on. I want you to tell us about the conflict resolution caravan. So after the pretty pipers already spread the rumors and the fights start happening, you do have a remedy in place that you have been pioneering for quite some time in your division, right? And I know you hope that it's kind of adopted nationwide. Tell us a little bit about the conflict resolution caravan, and I also want you to talk to us about the use of youth clubs, police youth clubs as a means to deal with these types of issues coming out of the schools.
Okay, so let me start with the CCRC. The Conflict Resolution Caravan is a program within a program. So the Conflict Resolution Center is a partnership between the TTPS and a private company called the Officium Training. And what we have done is bring ADR, alternative dispute resolution systems, to the community. So we provide things like mediations and different forms of intervention using dispute resolution systems and strategies for resolving conflict, right? So that's the basis of what the center does. within that program, we found that there was quite a lot of conflict happening, specifically at secondary schools. So we developed another program where we started doing a caravan from school to school across Trinidad and Tobago, not just within our division, across Trinidad and Tobago. And we utilized theater arts, we utilized a variety of innovative strategies, attention-grabbing strategies, because this is the generation that we're dealing with a short attention span. And we have our trained mediators led by Dr. Dikoto and some of her team members at Officium. Then we have some of the police officers who were trained in mediation and some of these other conflict resolution courses that are more in-depth to deliver trainings and workshops in, for example, emotional intelligence, anger management.
Important.
Yeah, you know, so some of these things we do, we go from school to school and we really try to reform the culture of the school through ADR.
Right.
And that caravan has
amazing.
been really successful. A lot of the schools have reported a drastic decrease after the caravan.
Right.
And
A drastic decrease in fights.
in the fights, yes, on the different forms of conflict, not just the physical fights, but even, you know, the banter that happens sometimes that leads to the fight.
Right.
So even that, they have found that the children are learning to manage their social interactions better.
Right.
We found that a lot of our students are becoming conflict resolution ambassadors and now
Right.
picking up a leadership role in championing peace within their schools. So, you know, the program has really evolved into something where it's creating this ripple effect among the young people, and it's taking on a very unique shape, and we're seeing the success from it.
This program is supposed to be throughout.
Well, I mean, I'm
There you go.
sure after seeing this, there are some people who might be reaching out to you to get it in their school, because based on what you said, it sounds like it has had a tremendous
Yes.
impact, right?
Yes.
So, well, of course, not every student who is having a conflict will be going to the school. So, and I think that's where the youth club could come in, right?
Oh yes, definitely. So we're not about waiting for the conflict to happen
Right.
to deal with it. You know, community police is about proactive policing. It's about preventative work. So one of the things that, in my opinion, and it's a biased opinion, and I'm aware of my biases, the best crime prevention strategy that the TTPS has ever implemented is the Police Youth Club program.
Yes, I agree. 100%.
And yes, and the Police Youth Club, it's so wide and far. We have 90-something, close to 100 police youth clubs across Trinidad and Tobago now. And our police youth clubs provide a space, safe spaces across the country where young people and police officers can interact, where officers can teach and nurture and mentor young people, where we have the opportunity to network with our key stakeholders and our businesses and all of the people that make up our communities to help shape the future of Trinidad and Tobago. So our young people at the policy clubs, and contrary to what is the normal opinion, it's not for delinquent children or just deviant children. The youth clubs, it's a youth development program.
Yes, for youth.
Across the board.
Yeah.
You know, and we have children from all different walks of life, all different socioeconomic backgrounds. And when they come together, you don't know the difference because they're all treated equally. These spaces are safe and they can learn, grow, and things like these common discussions that we have.
Yeah.
We talk about cyber behavior, we talk about conflict, we talk about life skills, you teach different things within sports, culture, you name it. The Policy Club is a holistic youth development program.
Nice.
Yes.
Yes. And you know what?
Like that.
I have seen some of the work that has come out of the Police Youth Club, and it really is quite impactful when you see how children almost like they bloom into a different version of themselves
Yes.
when they have the right type of guidance.
Yes, they do.
And of course, this is applicable in the context of secondary schools within
Yes.
conflict situations. So I think this has been rich, and I really hope that people reach out. So if just by the way, if somebody would like to enroll their child in a youth club, what do they do?
Oh, so you can get the youth club registration forms on the TTPS website. you can reach out to the community-oriented policing section, the head office at Riverside Plaza, and they can direct you to the police club that is within your district and put you onto the leader. Most clubs have a specific registration period. Some clubs you can register at any time. It really depends on where you are. So just reach out, message us on Facebook or within any of the social media platforms, and reach out and say, I'm interested. How can I get my child registered? Just ask the question, and we will get the information to you.
All right, lady and gent, I think this was quite good. Right, so as I always like to say, we have to place the episode under arrest, bring it to a close. So to close things off, I really would like to have an appeal from each of you. So I'll start with you, Corporal George. I'd like you to make an appeal to the parents, telling them about some of the things they need to do in terms of managing their children to avoid these online activities that they may get involved in, spilling offline. Like, what are some of the controls and what are the things they need to do? So just look into the camera and give us that appeal.
Right, so parents, get to know your devices that your children are using, get to know the security features, know the apps that are dangerous, know the type of capabilities that these apps have, like disappearing messages, etc. And you could also use Family Link. It's a tool by Google to monitor your child's screen time. Very important, right? So that's all I can say, but before I go, trust, but verify,
Yes. And Corporal Goddard, give an appeal to the children. Tell them what you are expecting from them and how to manage their conflict.
So, to my young people, my bright future of Trinidad and Tobago, I want to take this time to ask you, think about the future that you want. Think about yourself in, let's say, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, the type of person that you hope to become, and make every decision that you make now contribute positively towards you becoming that person that you envision yourself to be. Choose the right path always. The right thing is not easy, but it is possible.
All right. Okay. Well, that brings this episode to a close, right? So, keeping things pretty around here, we would like you to go to the TTPS YouTube channel and subscribe so you never miss this episode or anyone like it. And if you would like to listen to this on the go, you can check out this podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Once again, Trinidad and Tobago, thanks so much for listening and for watching. And remember, don't just stay safe, stay socially safe.